All right, y'all, what is going on? This is your man L Jamal coming through with another edition of Never Out of Bounds. Of course, this is the place where you can say what you want as long as you got them facts. I'm currently in between projects. Of course, last week I just wrapped up my Golden State issue, the history of California immigration, an 8-part series. Of course, that is on my regular podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and of course, Apple and Google as well. I will be having the links to that on my social media as well, so look out for those. I am actually working currently on a Lethal Weapon review, and I'm talking about the series, the four movies, of course, Riggs, Murtaugh, Mel Gibson, Danny Glover. You know what it is. We're going to be going through all four movies. I'm still debating on whether or not I want to do them four separately on, just four separate days, nights, what have you, or just a comprehensive review. And it may or may not be on YouTube. Oh, and by the way, this is my first YouTube episode, by the way. So please do me a favor, take a like. We'll take a second to check it out. Like it, leave comments. I will be sharing this as well. You can share it if you'd like to as well. That all helps. As of today, I will be just simply going over the NFL schedule, of course, that was released last week. I will be going over some highlights of that. I will be going over the Raiders schedule as well. However, over the course of the week, I plan on having some type of a prediction for their schedule as well as the Niners as well. So today, I'll just go over the Raiders schedule, just kind of, just the games for now. And then also, I'll be talking a little bit about Takashi 6ix9ine and all my thoughts against that, about that. So let's just get right into it. Of course, the NFL schedule for 2020 was released last week. Of course, everything is in limbo because of the coronavirus, so there is a chance that the season may or may not happen, or it may not happen on time, so we don't know. But the season will start off, hopefully, with a Week 1 matchup with the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. They will be taking on the Houston Texans at home, and this will be a Thursday night game. Of course, nobody likes these games, but the NFL has decided they're going to make these happen anyways. The Saints and the Vikings will play on the first Friday night game in over 10 years, and this will be later on in the season in Week 16. The Rams will kick off the season in their new stadium with a matchup against the Cowboys. That will be Week 1, and the Raiders will be hosting the Saints in Week 2. That will be the first game in Las Vegas. So some very interesting matchups this year. Of course, Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay, that adds some intrigue. Of course, you have people leaving their previous teams like Stephon Diggs. He has a new home, so there's some new storylines, and of course, there's the big question: will this season even happen because of coronavirus? But let's take a look at the Raiders schedule. Of course, we'll be making a prediction later on this week, but we're just going to take a look at the games that they got so far, the games that they have on the schedule right now. Week 1, they'll be traveling to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Week 2, of course, like I said before, they will be hosting the Saints, the first ever football game in Las Vegas, professional football game in Las Vegas. Not to discredit the UNLV running Rebels. But again, the NFL is finally home. Well, it's made its home in Las Vegas now. Week 4, the Raiders will be traveling to New England. Week 4, they will be hosting the Bills. Week 5, they will be traveling to Kansas City. They will be taking a bye week. Week 6. Week 7, they open things back up at home against the Buccaneers. In Week 8, they will be traveling to Cleveland, of course, take on Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Week 9, they will be playing another AFC West rival, with that being the Chargers. They'll have to travel to LA. Week 10, again, another AFC West matchup, this time at home against the Broncos. They have back-to-back home games because Week 11, they will be hosting the Chiefs as well. In Week 12, they have to travel to Atlanta to face the Falcons. Week 13, they're traveling to New York to face the Jets. Week 14 and 15, we have some divisional matchups here, both at home against one AFC matchup against the Colts at home, and again, they have a rematch against the Chargers Week 15 at home. So Week 14, they have to host the Colts. Week 15, they're hosting the Chargers. Week 16, they have to take on the Dolphins, and finally, they end up the year Week 17 at Denver. So again, just to kind of just to take a quick look, again, this is not gonna be my full prediction or anything like that, but there are some definite winnable games in my opinion. There are at least 4 that I see. Maybe 5 wins that I could see that them getting. Week 1 at Carolina, I think that's a winnable game. You also got Week 8 at Cleveland. There's some dysfunction there. Of course, I'll be breaking that game down a little bit more. But again, I feel like they can grab that one. Also, Week 12 on the road in Atlanta. Week 13, same thing. The Colts is somewhat of an iffy game, of course, because of Phillip Rivers having so much knowledge of the Raiders, but I think they can take that one. Week 15, they have the Chargers and the Dolphins. Those could be winnable games as well. There's a few iffy games as well on top of that, though. The Saints, New England, those games go either way. Of course, they have to travel to New England for that game. Anything could happen. Definitely New England on the down tick, but it can go either way. And of course, the Broncos games, I think with the Broncos, improving so much in the draft, they've improved somewhat in terms of, their off-season haul. This is their second season with their head coach, so things will be in the game plan department, things will be better there. So those are going to be some interesting matchups. So this is not going to be a cakewalk. I'm not saying this team is just some, shoo-in for the playoffs or anything like that, but I definitely think they get the ball rolling in Las Vegas. This is at least the third year with John Gruden and Mike Mayock. They've had their time. They've had their time to really assess this team, really make it into the form in which they want. So I think this is the year. Again, I don't think they take a big splash this year, make a huge jump this year, but a jump nonetheless, and they should turn some heads. I think this team can win. I think they could finish 500 really on the low end, honestly, and that's just on the low end. I don't see this team really finishing below 500. There are some games that they probably can't win. We'll break that all down later on this week, but I truly feel this team can go 8-8, 9-7, really on the low end. This could possibly be a 10-win team, barely just getting into the playoffs, maybe a wild card. I'm trying to be realistic as possible. Too many years people will say, oh, Super Bowl this, Super Bowl. No, realistically, we need to just get to the playoffs first. It was so hard for us to even get to these spots, to stay healthy, to even have competent coaching and a competent, roster and personnel selection. So let's let this tenure work itself out. We're going to see what Derek Carr can do. I'm pretty sure he's going to go into this season being the starter. All right. Right before I get into Takashi 69, of course, there's another crazy NFL story I just wanted to touch on just for a quick second. Of course, safety Earl Thomas last week had a gun pulled on him by his girlfriend or his wife. He's in the bed with his brother and all these different women. Apparently, this is a pattern. This is what goes down. It's just a bunch of drama. Crazy story. I don't want to judge, any party too much. But again, I'm like, man, if you're going to go through all that, why get married? Maybe you do have feelings for her, but why drag her through all that? And as the female, if you know he gets down like that, which I'm probably sure you do, why go through it? Is it really because of the money? Or would you really, it's almost like selling your soul. Would you put up with that just because he can pay the bills? Why? When you're a grown person, a grown human being who could provide for herself, who could educate herself, again, there's so many ways to look at it. It doesn't make any sense to me. He should be lucky that, again, she didn't fire on him. He didn't have, nothing happen to him. So he could still go out there and make some money because, again, and I think, on her end, she's probably thinking, well, if I do hurt you, that is the check. So, again, you got to think about that too. But a crazy situation, why go through all that extreme? On both sides, it's kind of pointless. I mean, if you don't like her, if you're gonna go around doing all that anyways, be single or just have that, that, I guess, that agreement with her or that understanding that she knows that. And she must have that understanding, but I don't know why I don't know. It's weird. Hell have no fury like a woman scorned, right? I guess so. But let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Takashi 69. Of course, he was released. This is after him, telling on everybody, getting his sentence reduced in the first place. He was supposed to be doing 47 years for racketeering. Of course, he was involved with the notorious Bloods gang, of course, in the New York City area. We all know that they started in the West Coast. How they ended up out there, there's a history. I know, but it's just crazy. But again, he's a part of that. Of course, he, is a well-established rapper at this point, and is somehow, despite him, having this snitching stance, he seems to be getting a lot of support from, seems the industry with 50 Cent, seems to want to back him up, which doesn't surprise me, being that 50 Cent has been known to be a snitch himself or an informant, and, just fans in general. And I feel like it's really crazy because, when, especially the black community, when they want to, they're gonna sit there and they're gonna complain about this justice system, about a certain situation, because a certain situation comes up. It always does. It's gonna rear its ugly head in in against a black man or a black person, and the black community is gonna say, well, the justice system is unfair, blah blah blah. But with that being said, y'all spend all this time supporting this snitch. You're saying he has this millions of dollars. Oh, he had all these threats against his life, blah 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 blah. Well, he had all that going against him, or whatever threats against his life, because of the actions he was doing against others. You can't justify that. Again, if you and I are innocent bystanders or any unaffiliated people, we're out and about and we're victims, or our families are victims, and we seek justice. That's not snitching. Somebody goes and robs your house or breaks into your car. You find that person. You alert the authorities about that. Again, that's not snitching. But if you are committing crimes with somebody, y'all both go down, you guys are facing some type of serious crime or time, or whatever the sentence is, you tell on that person in order to receive a lighter punishment or a lighter sentence. That's a whole totally different thing. Again, especially when you're out there committing crimes as well. You're out there perpetrating things, and aside from the racketeering and some of the other crimes that he was being charged for, we got to remember Mr. Takashi, aka Daniel Hernandez, is a registered sex offender. So why are we defending this person? Because again, we'll break it down case by case and want to switch on people and turn on people, because again, there's this story recently that came out, not so much recently, but within the past couple of years or so, about this white North Carolina man, HIV infected, raping black teenage girls, underage girls, and infecting them and so on. And we, decided to expose that and talk about that. But why are we not exposing others when that happens? Especially the famous, or the quote unquote, the rappers and those guys. Of course, we had a whole situation with R. Kelly, which we decided to defend. Why are we trying to defend the rich and the famous, and trying to expose all the other people? No, the factions of the rich try to expose each other, because that's all what we see the conservatives and the liberals do anyways, with their cabal / national whatever beef that they have going on anyways. Believe me, that's all what that is about. These are just, again, Takashi 69 is a registered sex offender, and he's committed massive crimes in his own community, and he's perpetrated against his own community. He's committed crimes against people of his own color, his own background, including the black people. And who he snitched on was, probably black men. And I would not be surprised if the sexual crime he committed was against a black or brown female. And again, she was underage. He confessed to that, and his quote on that, as to what his mind frame was, is simply, "I was doing it for her image," and that's what he told police in his statement about why he did what he did. And this is all true. There's an account of what happened. I'm not going to go into it, because again, there's certain things you can't go really into on a platform like this, but just know he is a registered sex offender, and I wouldn't defend him. Just like I wouldn't defend R. Kelly. I'm going to keep it 100. And the reason why I wouldn't support those people, and don't get me wrong, R. Kelly might have made great music. Of course, Takashi 69 might make bangers that you guys may like, the beats, whatever. I personally don't listen to his music. Um, I don't listen to a lot of mainstream people, to be honest with you. I think I listen to very few Drake songs, that I like, very few songs by Lil Wayne, and the others that I like, I tend to listen to a little bit more, to Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole and anybody else. But I'm not a main. I don't. The rest of these guys, Lil Yachty, I can maybe name you a song or two, but I cannot tell you that I've honestly listened to their music. Sorry. It just doesn't, and this is not to put them down, nothing like, it just doesn't appeal to me. That's just what it is. But again, we're dealing with somebody who's committed crimes in this community. Really, he's what he claims he wanted to get away from and all that, and of course he had to, I mean, again, this is just the result of that. People trying to come after you, people trying to lock you up. That is the result of you doing what you do against the community, unless you are an operative and you've been working with them for a while, which is, again, a lot of people's conspiracy theories consist of 9/11 theories, and Bill Gates now, and Dr. Fauci with the vaccine. Mine is like, your rappers and your top gang officials in your communities, they're operatives to keep your community down. That's my conspiracy. People don't want to hear that, but those are my conspiracy theories. So I think he's probably, especially now that he's been all into the penal system and has been talked to and had all those situations happen to him, he's probably and they're allowing him to still pursue. I think that's kind of what they're still aiming at in terms of this society, in terms of how they want to control us. I still think they want to have those images out there of being reckless, of being somebody who turns against your community and then turns around and still goes against your community by snitching. So even your gang community you snitch on and you rat them out to save your own hide. And I would never promote that. I wouldn't do that. So that, again, I can't support that. So I can't. And listening to them, whether it be watching all their interviews and really hyping them up on my channel, or listening to their music, again, R. Kelly included, I could not do that. That is a form of support to me. So I don't listen to R. Kelly because I would never do anything with little girls, and there's no excuse to that. A grown man or some parents could not convince me to do something with their daughter that's underage. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for that. And as far as Takashi goes, I wouldn't snitch on people that I committed crimes with. I wouldn't even try to do racketeering. That's not that's not what I do. Especially against my community. I would not, so you gotta be part of the solution and not the problem. Not to say that I'm perfect. I've made many mistakes, whatever. I've bumped my head against the wall like any other person. But to do racketeering and to be a registered sex, that's a little bit too far for me. I've done my fair share of I think the worst for me is that I've been a slacker and I've done nothing. I could say that I've been a real slacker at many times, but I'm not gonna be a racketeering type cat. You're not gonna catch me doing that type of stuff. So I can't support that. I understand human growth. I understand people, improving who they are in life, but you have to first admit that you have those problems first. That's what I had to do. Until I admitted that I had certain issues, certain things that were holding me back, I wouldn't be here doing this. I wouldn't be able to hold down any type of job or anything. So again, it's about, changing who you are, trying to develop. And again, knowing right from wrong. Takashi knows right from wrong. He knew right from, and if he wanted to play the soft guy route, like I didn't know that much better, you knew right from wrong. You knew what gangs were. You knew who was what and what all that stuff consisted of. You probably were living around it. You might not have been always hard or always a gangster, but you always were at least in the know of what was going on. We all did. At least if we were in the vicinity of that. Whether or not we chose to get into it, that was on us. Okay, so that you don't get to blame the society. You don't get to try to say, oh well, I need to. No, you don't get that protection. You didn't protect the people around you with your decisions. So You got to look out for that, guys. And I wouldn't, again, being rich and famous and him having good songs and having all this money, that's fine. But we'll see what happens over the course of his lifetime and see how everything plans out. I'm not wishing the worst on him, but we are being realistic. He has to live in federal protection pretty much, I would say, forever. His family, same thing. They don't, we know that the street element doesn't play that stuff. So he can act like it's all fun and games, but we all know better. So let's not play games. Let's, again, I don't wish the worst. I don't wish anything, harm come to him, but that's what happens when you put yourself out there. If something happens though, I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, I'm not gonna cry. So that's what it is. All right, y'all, I'm gonna call it a wrap. Again, this was my first foray into the YouTube dimension. Please holla at me, comment, share it if you like it. If you like it, please leave a like. If you like it, come on back. And later on, maybe subscribe. This is how it is. I'm not demanding anything of anybody at this point. There are links. There's going to be links to my Cash App and to my PayPal. Again, the most important thing for you guys to do, being that I'm an amateur, being that I'm a budding, this is my inspiring career, the best thing y'all can do for me is to like it, share it, watch it, let me know what's going on, constructive criticism, add your comments, add your suggestions, because again, the whole point is for me to improve. The whole point is for me to make this a career. That's what it is. So the donations are not the most important thing. The interaction and the input from you guys and the back and forth that we can develop on that front is most important for me. I think all that'll come later once I establish that. So again, y'all, if y'all feeling it, thank you. Let me know. Of course, my name is El Jamal. Of course, you can reach me on my Gmail and all on the my Facebook and the Instagram. I will have links for all that provided for y'all all over the YouTube, all over my social media. I will have links to this, so don't worry. It'll be all ready. Let me edit this and we'll be all good. All right, y'all. This is your man, El Jamal. This has been another edition of Never Out of Bounds. All right, y'all. If anybody hasn't told you yet, I love you. Peace out. One love. And I will holla at y'all later.